Hello, YouTube. It's me, John Avenger, once again, and welcome to another review. This will be one of my last reviews of the year, because tomorrow I'm doing a live commentary for Live Free or Die Hard. I just saw Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, obviously I'm wearing the hat, so I did see it. It's a good sequel, but there are problems. I will say that. I'm not going to spoil too much because I don't want people, my friends Levy and a bunch of other people, Parker and Anthony, and have not seen it yet, so I'm not going to spoil it for them. But I need to get this off my chest now so I don't forget. You know, I was going to wait till January, but I don't want to. It's already festering in my head, so I want to give my thoughts. Good things. The post-credit scene was really good with Linda Carter. They show her at the end. I'm just, that's all I'm going to say. No, it doesn't set up any more sequels like, you know, like Shazam or Captain not Captain Marvel. What was it? Aquaman or BVS or anything. No, it doesn't have a setup post-credit scene, and it's definitely not Far From Home. Next good thing, Kristen Wiig was amazing. Like as Cheetah, as basically she's Barbara and Minerva in the film. She's barely Cheetah. She's only Cheetah at the very end. So if you were thinking you were going to get a lot of her in the film as that character, she's only at the end, and you saw that in the trailer. So that's not a spoiler. Her voice is so sexy. She dresses nice. She starts off nerdy, kind of like, you know, Batman Forever, like Edward Nygma and that. And she meets Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal. I know my friend hated this character, at Maxwell Lord, but Mando steals the freaking movie for me. I'm sorry, but as a huge fan of The Mandalorian and a huge fan of this actor, this guy just nailed every scene he's in. Like, he is so over the top, but I'm like, it's a DC movie, guys. What did you expect? Half of the DC universe has over the top villains. Freaking Lex Luthor in BVS, and Zod in Man of Steel, and freaking the freaking Enchantress dumbass freaking cartoon in Suicide Squad. Birds of Prey, freaking what's his face? Black Mask. All these characters are cartoons. I didn't even like the villain in Shazam, and I still love that movie. That movie is still my favorite in the DCU because it knew what it was, it embraced the source material, and guess what? It's not 2.5 hours long. That's another problem I have, but I'll get to that. Gal's always good. Like, she's not the problem with the movie. She's in it enough to, you know, she does a lot of stuff. She mostly uses the lasso in the film, and you've seen that in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler. Her and Chris Pine, you know, good to see him again. They have great chemistry together, just like in the first one. And the film has some color. When they go to the 80s, there's a lot of colorful things I remember, because even though I wasn't born yet in 84, I was a fetus, so I was feeling every vibe in 1984. I do like the look of the film. The score is amazing. Hans Zimmer did a great job with the score. He didn't do the score in the first movie. There's less of Gal's theme. It's not really in this movie as much as in the first one or in BVS, because Zimmer didn't do the music in the first one. But there are a lot of issues here. Not that many, just about as many problems as Stargirl had earlier this year. The film's way too long, guys. This movie could have been 2 hours. You didn't need the extra 30 minutes or 20 minutes. The middle of the film drags ass. I felt like I was watching a rom-com. I'm like, that worked in the first movie when she's in when Chris Pine introduces her to his world of, you know, war or whatever in World War I. She's like eating ice cream and she sees people suffering. And the no man's land scene, there's no man's land scene in this movie. Just to let you know, the scene, the car chase in Egypt that you saw in the trailer, that's not as good as the no man's land scene. The ending is not as bad as the first movie, though. It's not a video game fight scene. It's a little bit short, you know? It's a good fight. It's just too short. And you know who I blame for this? Jeff Johns. He's the guy that wrote most of the CW shows, where half of them have way too much dialogue, way too much drama, way too many flashbacks. There's only one flashback here, so that's not an issue. It's like the flashback is the beginning of the movie, just like you saw in the first one. But I'm not going to say much. You know, I'm not going to say what Diana does when she's a little girl. You just see the film for yourself. But it drags ass. After the scene in the mall that you saw in the trailer with her with the lasso, the film doesn't have action for almost an hour. Like, well, I'll say 40 minutes. It drags. And I'm like, you could have cut a middle of the film. The subplots where with Maxwell Lord, like, shaking hands with people and doing all that, and the rock scene, the scene where they go to that ball or something, that could have been cut. The scene with that Harvey Weinstein that's hitting on, oh wait, that's a spoiler. Well, I'm just going to say, A drunk guy hits on Kristen Wiig's character, Barbara, and yeah, he kind of was a little bit Harvey Weinstein to me. But in the second act, something happens to him, so I'm not going to say much. I don't want to spoil too much. Like I said, the movie, the film, the second problem, the pacing, it goes way too slow. Like the first half of the movie, like the film starts with a flashback. There's the action scene in the mall, and then there's a lot of just rom-com dialogue. And I'm like, it's just a little bit too slow, Jeff Johns. Don't write another CW DC movie or show. Just don't. You've already you fulfilled your purpose with Arrow and the Flash and Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow and even Batwoman. This is not as bad as Batwoman. That is horrible. That is bad cartoonish dialogue and a bad feminist approach. This has no feminism in it. Like the first one, they try to push it like, oh, this is going to be a female-only driven superhero movie. Again, guys, I have Captain Marvel. You're not going to do better than that. The first movie was good, but I hated the video game fight scene. Brie Larson, I'm sorry, won an Oscar. That means that she's slightly better than Gal. Just saying, in my opinion. And also, the third problem, like I said, it needed more action. This movie did not need to be 2 hours and 25 minutes, and like only a third of it is action. You need more. It had some personality. Like I said, I love to see Pedro Pascal overacting. He's great to watch, pointing at everybody like this, and he has the world's greatest voice. So hearing him act, there's a scene at the end that he's really, really good, and I'm like, and no, it's not when he's screaming. I'm not going to say that, but yeah, like I said, there's a lot of characters you could cut out. The whole scene in Egypt you could have cut out. The whole scene, you know, like not the scene when they're in the car chase, because her and Steve do something in that. I'm saying like the scenes with the Egyptians, I don't care about them. Cut them out. It felt like The Mummy or freaking I don't know, the Ang Lee's The Hulk. This movie had some similar issues to that film. And this isn't an origin story, so you had no excuse, Jeff Johns. You had no freaking excuse of making the pacing this slow and having a lack of action. I know it's character driven. The first Superman was like that. Even Superman Returns was like that. But Superman Returns had some enjoyment. You had Superman coming back to Earth, and you see him rescue Lois again. And you have Lex Luthor's not a cartoon in that movie compared to in BVS. Like, he stabbed Superman in the chest. What does Maxwell Lord do in this movie? He's the main villain, because Cheetah's not the villain in this movie. I don't want to hear that she's the villain because she's underused. Kristen Wiig is good as Barbara Minerva, but when she's not in the CGI left from the Cats movie, which is better than that. I mean, it doesn't look as bad as that movie. Cats is horrendous. Like, that movie should not exist. But this movie, I get it, okay? Be careful what you wish for. I get the message of the movie. But they're the enjoyable stuff, the good outweighs the bad here, even though I had some issues. The pacing, lack of action, and the running time. You could have easily fixed that. Mission Impossible Fallout was the same running time, and you could have cut, like, that movie. If you cut Vanessa Kirby, the movie would just be fixed. You can keep Cavill, and you can keep Angela Bassett, and you can keep freaking Simon Pegg and Rebecca Ferguson, but her, you could have cut out. She's only in the film for 5 minutes. In this movie, Maxwell Lord's in it a lot, because he's the main threat. He's the one that's causing all the world to go to shit at the end. He's basically like Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse, just without the terrible makeup and the everything will fall. Because when you think about it, this movie is kind of like X-Men Apocalypse. That movie's worse because they waste so much potential and it's boring. This movie wasn't boring. It drags in the middle. It's like a Transformer sequel. Stop doing that, Hollywood. DC movies don't need to be 3 hours. You are never going to top the running time of that movie. Just saying. This is not a rant. I do like this movie, but it has a lot of issues. Endgame was 3 hours and 4 minutes. Without the end credits, 2 hours and 49 minutes. Even though there's some scenes in the middle that drags, I was invested in the conversations. Them getting the stones from Thanos and coming back together and fighting him at the end. That final battle has not been topped yet. The only thing that's topped that is the last scene in The Mandalorian in season 2, which I'm not going to spoil here for my friends. But again, guys, if they do a Wonder Woman 3 and the spin-off, which is going to be, I think, about her aunt or something, don't make it drag ass. Please don't cut the running time in half. You can make a 2-hour movie or an hour and 45 minutes. You don't need 30 minutes of padding. A lot of DC movies have had that problem. Suicide Squad, BVS, the theatrical cut, and even the extended cut. Some scenes were good. Some scenes didn't need to be there anyway. freaking the 3 hour cut of Superman from the 70s. You don't need padding. It makes the movie slow. And you know me, my standards are too high. You got to make a movie faster pace. The Flash movie that I won in 2022 cannot be this long. Have one villain. You don't need two, or a villain and a side anti-hero, because that's basically what Cheetah was. I love Kristen Wiig. I love her voice. She's very sexy in the movie. I would have her for myself. And Mando, I love seeing him. I love seeing Pedro Pascal act not like Mando, because it was something different. The first movie had a villain that was lame. Ares was lame in the first movie. He's in like 3 scenes, and he just appears. Here, at least Maxwell Lord is in the film. And like I said, I have a juggling thing. Like, I wish I could combine the first movie and the second movie and just cut out all the fat and just make one movie, like Superman and Superman 2, basically, because there's a lot of stuff you could have cut out. But it's not horrible. If you have HBO Max, watch it. It's worth your time, at least for one watch for a while. I'm not going to watch it again for months until it's on Blu-ray and I can fast forward the boring stuff and just get to the good stuff. Mainly the emotion at the end and the action scenes that work in the film, and also the freaking. There's not as much humor in this either. It's not like I didn't want a huck yuck yuck comedy like Shazam or Aquaman, but DC, you can't go dark anymore. It's not going to work for you. You tried to do that with Birds of Prey and make it like Deadpool on acid, and that movie bombed. Is this better than that? Oh yeah, because I'll take Gal, Kristen Wiig, and freaking and even Linda Carter at the end over anybody in Birds of Prey. Mainly because they waste them. And that movie wasn't 2.5 hours. How long was Birds of Prey? It was like 2 hours and 10 minutes? Or an hour and 50? Because it was cut, and you can tell, even though it was R-rated. This movie didn't need an R rating. It was fine at PG-13. But it's just too long, guys. I sat through 3 Transformers movies in the theater that were way too long. And they dragged ass. Even the Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Fallen, it's too freaking long. And Dark of the Moon, too freaking long. The first hour could have been cut out. Rogue One, that movie was almost the same running time as this, and I hate that movie with a passion because I hated the characters. I like the characters in this movie, the main characters. I don't care about the side characters of the Arabs and the receptionists and the black people in this movie just felt like background characters. Supergirl had better black characters, and that's saying a lot because that's a TV show. Let me see how long Birds of Prey was. This movie's just too long. Like, you could have cut it out. Like, this is what the problem I have with the Bond movies. The ones with Daniel Craig. They're too freaking long. Skyfall's good, but it's too freaking long. Casino Royale's good, but it drags in the middle. I didn't like Quantum of Solace, so that one's like, meh. I hated Spectre. You needed a running time of 2 hours, not 2.5 hours. I don't have all freaking day, guys. I'm not getting any younger. Birds of Prey was under 2 hours. See? An hour and 49 minutes. Perfect. That's what this running time should have been. An hour and 40-some minutes. That's perfect for a DC movie. You don't need to drag ass for 2.5 hours. Rise of Skywalker did that, and look how great that was. Huh? And I read that movie came out a year ago, so screw that movie and the 2 abortions that came out before it. I need my superhero fix, my kaiju fix, and then damn, you need my kid fix. Dune could be this long because guess what, Josh? This movie, Dune, is a 2-parter. This is going to get a 3rd movie in like 2 or 3 years. So we need time to heal because this year was a horrible year. Releasing this in 2020 was a mistake. It should have came out sooner or just been direct to streaming from the start. Because releasing this in theaters during COVID was a mistake. Because it's dangerous. I would have not risked my life to see this in theaters. To be honest, at home, it's fine. You get to see it on your TV. You can mute it. You can fast forward the scenes that are boring. You can pause it when you have to go to the bathroom. It's more convenient to watch it at home. But like I said, this is not the best movie of 2020. Sonic is still my favorite movie of this year, guys. It was short, sweet, over-the-top villain, just like this movie, and it's only 90 minutes. It's not 2.5 hours. Oh, because it's a kid's movie. There's some kids' movies that are long, that are very long. The Chronicles of Narnia films are very long. Hell, the second movie dragged ass, and I hated it. But the first movie's good, but again, like this movie, it's just too freaking long. This film is visually stimulating. I do like the look of it. I do like the nods to the TV show. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil too much. But like I said, Gal is not the problem. Her accent is fine. It was the same one from the first one that we loved. But there's a lot of problems with the pacing. Also, Godzilla vs. Kong doesn't need to be this long. If it's 2 hours, I can handle it. But at over 2 hours, no, you're gonna just drag ass. And I'm like, you got to make a movie shorter. You don't need to make these movies almost 3 hours long. People have lives to go back to. That movie got so much shit, Captain Marvel, and it's not 2.5 hours. Let me check the time for that. It was like an hour and 50 minutes, and I still love that movie. I still prefer it over this and the first one. I'm a Marvel guy, guys. I'm sorry. I love DC. I bought a lot of their movies. Joker was still one of the best DC movies of last year, and it's not part of this universe. It's a separate thing, and it was short. It didn't feel too long. Just saying. Joker was amazing. Joker was a Oscar-worthy performance and an Oscar-worthy freaking musical score. And this isn't going to get anything, not even visual effects, which were good. I like some of the CG with Cheetah. It didn't look as bad as Cats. Gal swinging was okay. The beginning was okay. The look of the film, the scope of the film was grand. But like I said, this felt like a CW show just for a lot longer and with more budget. That's not necessarily horrible, but again, guys, for a sequel, you gotta step up a little bit, DC. You need to. This is why Marvel's making billions, and you haven't made a billion since last year. This and Stargirl, we need rewrites. No more this slow pacing. You can have your dramatic stuff, but it better be 10 or 15 minutes of the movie and not half of the movie. I'm sorry, just because like I said, I'm a person that has ADD. I need freaking action like in abundance. In abundance. I don't need it for like an hour of the movie with nothing. This is why I hated Mission Impossible 2. I don't talk about it because I hate the freaking pacing. And it drags ass and it doesn't need to. And that has a way longer running time. I mean, it has a longer wait. Because that's the first 10 minutes is an action scene. Then there's 69 minutes of nothing. It's just Tom Cruise and Anthony Newton for freaking driving. But I'll get to that when I review that. Captain Marvel was 2 hours and 4 minutes. It felt like an hour and a half compared to it. I'm just sorry. It got so much hate just because of Brie Larson. If Brie was in this movie, you would say the same freaking thing. I don't hate this movie. It's good, but it's not better than the first one. And it is too long. Like 2 hours and 25 minutes. I checked it on HBO Max. That's way too long. 25 minutes could have been cut, in my opinion. When I get this on Blu-ray, my sister's going to get it. We're going to skip all the boring parts. Because you do not need to drag ass. A lot of Marvel movies have been guilty of this as well. Not Endgame and Infinity War. I'm saying like freaking the Hulk. The 2003 Hulk. Way too freaking long. The Fantastic Fan Stick. It was freaking long. It wasn't long, but it felt, I was so bored. It dragged. I don't like a movie to drag, guys. Give me what I want. Make me laugh. Make me cry. Even infuriate me. I was never mad at Pedro Pascal overacting because I'm like, he's doing his job. He's entertaining me. It's the actor that plays Mandalorian. Of course I'm going to love this guy. I liked him in We Can Be Heroes. He's a good actor. He has a voice of a freaking Greek god. Kristen Wiig has the sexiest voice I've ever seen in my life. Their scenes together, I liked. Because he's like kissing her and like, oh my God. And that's another thing in this movie. Why does everybody touch each other's faces? Like the scene where Steve sees Diane again, he touches her face. You saw that in the trailer. There's a scene that he touches her again in bed in her face. There's a scene where Mando, aka Maxwell Lord, is touching his son's face. There's another scene where they're touching this face. It's too much touching in the face. Please keep your distance. I did like the scene where Gal gets petted, like he pets her hair. That's great. I love when a woman gets petted on the head. Like in Bumblebee, when Bumblebee pats her on the head and messes up Haley Steinfeld's hair. That was cute. But that movie did not drag ass. That movie's problem was some of the script with the human characters could have been cut out. You just needed the girl, Bumblebee, and the robots. That's it. And maybe John Cena. Here, I just thought you could have cut some of the film in half. You don't need a 2.5 hour running time. Stop trying to beat Rise of Skywalker, DC. That movie failed, not just because of that, because of other reasons. At least Gal didn't say, I'm a superwoman. No, she didn't have to say that. She says a little speech and then it's over. And her acting was good, especially in the second half. When she says something, there's a powerful scene where she's running, but I'm not going to say much. And it's good. It is good. I didn't clap, but my sister clapped. But the scene at the end with Maxwell and his son, it's good. I'm not going to say much, though. But anyway, guys, that's my review from Wonder Woman 1984. Highly flawed, but still a good way to spend 2 hours at home. It's good for that at home. In the theater, I would not risk life and limb to go see it. I'll just wait till Black Widow comes out. There's no way it's going to be longer than this. And if I hate Ileana and the girl, you know exactly why. Don't tell me I didn't warn you with, with freaking Pug Face and freaking Rachel Weisz. I already hated them in the trailer, so this wasn't going to do me any favors either. When it comes to, how long it was. Black Widow's probably going to be 2 hours. It doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. I know you want to get the full theater experience, but at home, a good 2 hours or an hour and 50 minutes is good enough. You don't need padding. But it's still good. I didn't hate it. It's a good movie to watch at home. If it was on my list of 2020, it'd be an honorable mention because it's just the pacing just kills the freaking middle of the film. It just drags ass. And I'm like, you skip that part, you get to the part with the truck, and the film starts to pick up again. But anyway, that's Wonder Woman 84. If you hate the film, I don't blame you. If you love the film, that's fine. She's worth your price of admission if you have the theaters open where you live or if you have HBO Max. But I'm glad I saw it at home. Because, in the theater, my legs would have cramped out by the 2 hour mark. But it's not horrible. Critics are being a little bit too harsh. It got a fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but not a 90 like the first one did. It got like a 66 or 65. Basically what Joker got, because it's divisive. DC will always be more divisive than Marvel. I'm sorry, guys. Nobody does it better. That's all I can say. Every movie in the MCU was long. There's a lot of them that are long. But I felt something. I got something out of every movie. With the DC Universe, I hated Man of Steel. BVS should have been the theatrical cut should not have been the cut we got. I hated Suicide Squad. I like Justice League, but it needed to be longer. Hopefully the Snyder Cut is not 14 hours. I'm going to see it in parts. There's no way I'm sitting through 4 hours. That's way too long. This isn't Lord of the Rings. The first Wonder Woman, good, shitty ending. Shazam, I love that movie. That movie is almost perfect except for the villain. I didn't see Birds of Prey. I refuse to. The Suicide Squad, I don't care about. And Peacemaker, I'm interested. It's a show, so it'll be a lot freaking shorter. This movie is basically below the first Wonder Woman, but it's better than Suicide Squad and it is better than Man of Steel because it wasn't incoherent. That's all I'm going to say, guys. See the film for yourself when you can. If not, see it in 2021. It's not horrible. It's good, but it's flawed. Just go in knowing that. Later.